All right, and where am I? Here. I guess I don't have my camera on, right?
Nope.
Something like that.
Here. Now?
There you
Yeah,
Ah,
good.
there I am. Okay, how you doing?
go. Good. Decent.
Good. Good. Another week.
Another week, and things have like escalated so quickly. Like, I mean, the world around us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you never know from one day to the next how it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Things change so fast. Yeah.
Never like this though. This is a first.
Yeah. Oh, like this. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, there's been other pandemics, but not this one, and not in this time and what we can do, and I mean, I guess you're talking about the pandemic, are you, or the the riots? Both.
I think I'm talking about like America being America right now in a very America kind of America way. Also.
Yeah. Well, that's not new. That's not new.
Yeah, they're being themselves.
I've been there when they had the riots. Like I was there. I was living in Ann Arbor when the riots were going on in '68. They burned down the whole city, Detroit. Yeah. So I saw it on. It's like a reenaction of what was going on then, like so many years ago. It's the same. Like some things have changed, but a lot hasn't. There's a long way to go. Let's put it that way.
It's weird that it's like that though. Like it's a recurring circle. I was just talking about that. Like we're gonna riot and then it's gonna get quiet again. We're gonna move on to the next headline and it's gonna escalate again.
Yeah.
Escalate again, and it's like and the same people who are the bad guys that were rioting against just go back to exactly what they were doing before. They don't even change at this point. They just know exactly what we're gonna do anyways.
It has to change from the top. What?
And it's not going to change from the top. I mean, the top has to topple, right? But the pressures are going to get greater. Like climate change is going to make this continue happening. Like it's just like you have areas where people are being pushed out of the areas that they're in because there's more desert and there's less land to live in, and that's creating more immigration and more and then you have these things being, but there's the problems that we're facing are going to get bigger, and then the people who are in charge, I think I could be wrong, but I hope I'm right. I think what's happening is like incompetence is being sort of tried, it's failing, and competence is going to step in.
Depends on your definition of competence. Like who's the competent?
Logical, scientific thinkers are going to step in and say, this is the long-term plan, get on board. And
I hope so. I hope so.
I think it's happening.
Yeah.
I think people are like, this isn't working. Everybody knows what's up. Like, you don't know anyone who thinks that there isn't like, the rich people aren't conspiring to get richer at the expense of everything.
They got $400 billion richer.
Yeah. The 1%. They always have, unless things change fundamentally.
Yeah.
And with the last few governments, they really haven't, I mean, the laws are built for the rich to make more money.
Yeah. But everybody knows it now. And nobody's pretending it's not like that. So that's like, there's a level of awareness where you're looking at like revolution, and you're looking at what happens everywhere. It's like, well, either tyranny is going to win, and we're like all going to suffer and die, and that's it. Or but human beings are actually fairly resourceful and fairly we survived as a species because we are really good at coming together and coming up with solutions. It's kind of our deal. We're also really good at genocide, but I mean, I think we're better at coming together as a species than we are at genocide, and we generally choose to work things out. That's my take on this, is that this is actually sort of, it's not a good thing what we're seeing, but that it's potentially could be the beginning of like, this is the growing pain that leads to the good thing.
So, like, I study different cultures, and one of them is are the cartels or the wars that they go through. So I follow some people on YouTube who just kind of talk about the things that are going on. And one of the reasons why I do that is because I was researching like how our future will evolve. And I've always looked at that as the natural evolution of how everything is gonna go. Like there's gonna be a section of civilization that's like really, really civil and but guarded by authority, and that's where the rich will live. And then there's gonna be a section that's more, like there's gonna be more autonomy amongst the sections living on the planet itself. It looks like, right? Because the system that is designed to guard us is not an actual real system. It's just like pulling the wool over our heads. This has happened before, right? Like, so this keeps happening. This is not like, us.
Not new.
Yeah, definitely. Someone that told me like they have hundreds of years worth of understanding of having done this. This is not new. And, like if I go back tens of thousands of years, that's conspiracy almost, but you can see that it, this has happened before. Like this, like it goes, like we get, like civilization explodes and then it shrinks and then it explodes and it shrinks and it's just like this one ongoing thing. But the same people who are in power always stay in power. But I find that the reason why they do that, though, is because they stay informed. They stay very well on top of things. Like they know, like
even when you have a revolution, like they had a revolution in Russia, right? So they overthrew the monarchy there, and they assassinated the ruler and all that. The communists took over. They still took the wealth for themselves.
Of course, yeah.
So all they did is put on a new hat, and they became the leadership. But nothing really changed that much for the people. The people remained very poor.
Are you saying communism doesn't work? My goodness, you're not saying
neither does capitalism. Neither does capitalism.
Capitalism is capitalism seems to have some ability to even things out for people.
Well, that's where they're lacking right now. They have to even them out more.
I have to hard disagree on that one. Capitalism is the reason people are able to just hoard and hoard and hoard and hoard and hoard and just sit on a pile of money and not do anything about it.
Yes.
And communism has never actually come to be in the world the way it's supposed to be.
No, because people are people and they have their own agenda.
Yeah.
And that's human nature.
Yeah, I think there has to be. So I think what we've discovered about communism is it's just there's too many, the pile of the dead is too vast and tyranny takes hold too quickly. And capitalism seems to be a slow build towards tyranny. Like tyranny is part of who we are as a species. It's within you, right? Like there's a part of you that wants to I know I'm right. How can I? So it's within everybody, and some people are great at it, and that sucks for the rest of it. So there has to be something of the goodwill in communism to share and distribute, but also
socialism.
It's called socialism.
Socialism.
It's called socialism.
Like they have in Sweden, So you have to have laws that the 1% doesn't get all the money. What?
Yeah, you have to do the redistribution of wealth.
Right.
Actually, in my classes in international development, we've studied it. Right after World War II, there were a lot of laws that redistributed wealth, and so you didn't really have a 1% with 70 or 80 or whatever ridiculous amount of wealth. They had 30 or 40% of the wealth. But because of
Reaganomics.
Reaganomics and Thatcher and folks like that who believed in neoliberalism and all of that, all of those protections were stripped away, and now we have the 1% that has like 80% of all
and the laws are made for them, you know, at the expense of people, even middle class, and therefore people are rioting now. I mean, they have nothing to look forward to. They're out of jobs, you know, they were working in the worst kind of jobs possible. And the 1% they're going to the country and protecting themselves. So it's very unequal society.
What if there was a way to say, like, all right, you can hoard a little bit, that'll motivate you. You're gonna do it anyway, because we know with communism that what people are allowed to work on for themselves, they work on for themselves.
Right, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what if there was a thing where you were to say, like, all right, we're not having like multi-generational wealth families, like you can pass on $1 million and that's it.
You have to change the tax laws.
Yeah, I think
there
the
are tax laws, and there are also
Yeah.
something else that I've been seeing is that people are calling for like wealth to depreciate in value the longer it stays in one family. Or
that's a good one.
Yeah. Or an inheritance tax. So that every time you get an inheritance, like 10% of it or whatever is taxed away and it goes toward the government.
Only if it's over many millions, not for someone who only has like $100,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something
then
like
it's
that.
fair.
After the first million, the tax on inheritance is like damn near 100%. It's like
you know what it is though?
100%.
So it's like all these things exist, like all these solutions are there. And I'm sure the people that are in charge know these solutions. When it comes down to implementing these solutions.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
like
the
global, right? Because if I can hoard money in X country away and then give it to you by this, like I there also maybe we should consider like having punishments for people. Like if you are moving your money somewhere you don't have to pay taxes, like maybe that's a crime. Like maybe that's treason.
They get away with it though. We know. They know. They know. Like everyone knows about that. They know about the tax havens. They know about it. They even have done the research. They can even tell you who the people are. But from doing that to getting it back or prosecuting them is a big. It's not so easy.
Their lawyers are awesome. Like what you can buy with wealth. The number one thing you want to buy with your money is lawyers. Currency.
Well, all you have to do is look at Trump and see that he's never even revealed his taxes to see what money does.
Mm-hmm.
Or the pretense. We don't really know how much he has. Because he's never showed us, you know?
That is,
lawyers, though, so that's something.
What?
Yeah. And
he can afford his lawyers, yeah. So he must have something.
He's president. That's what he has. Power.
He's certainly got money out of that.
And kind of like because of like all the kind of concerns that everyone is bringing up, a thing that I talk a lot about is like recentering community and community building and community trust and community ties and just like recentering this idea of like what we owe to each other instead of just me, because honestly, the individualistic culture, it has a lot to do with capitalism, and it has a lot to do with Eurocentric values and colonialism and conquest. Like a lot of these things, and that's not to say that like Eastern cultures or indigenous cultures didn't have their own problems, and it's not to say they didn't have their own individualistic aspects, but like because of this history, we have a lot of things that have kind of meshed together, and we don't know what could have been otherwise, and we don't have necessarily the diversity of culture and cultural values because conquest squashed a lot of it that we maybe should have, that could have made a lot of our world better right now. But like if you recenter this idea of community, and I'm not just talking about like your neighborhood or something, like I'm talking about like a global community where we consider everybody like
part of it.
Part of it, when we consider everybody like a brother, you know, like when I went to Tayapampa, one of the things that like really touched me was that because there was like trust with this community and the organization I was with, and we had that relationship, they were just like welcome brothers without having any idea of who we were. And I was just like, you know, if more of the world acted like this, if we had these community ties, it would be so much better, because then you wouldn't have people who wanted to just like have all their money in a tax haven and sit on it and not do anything with it. You wouldn't have accountants who are facilitating this. You wouldn't have engineers who are designing like pipelines through indigenous territory without like indigenous consent. Like none of these things would be happening if we had more of a value of each other.
Yeah, definitely.
You're not going to convince like narcissistic assholes to stop putting themselves first. Right. And then some of them are pathological, like we all know the guy. Yeah. Some of them are pathological, and they just don't understand that like they are not more important than other people. And then there's going to be people who are like morally neutral in their own minds, like I don't do anything wrong, and
like, it's like bystanders.
And I think that at some point, like we have a very anti-shame culture in a lot of ways, where you can get canceled for doing something outrageous, but there's no shame. Like it's like there's no shame in not like, oh, you couldn't do it, it's okay. Like we all need, you know, mental health days to it's okay if you want to go to Starbucks and you need that. There's a lot of sort of like built-in forgiveness for people behaving badly and not doing their part. So
that's not the forgiveness for people behaving badly and not doing their part. That's power.
What do you mean?
It's the people who are in power. They're able to like get away with stuff and be forgiven because they have power, they have money or whatever. Like when you look at like marginalized communities, like the LGBTQ plus community, racialized communities, we are full of shame. We are traumatized, full of shame.
I think this is the thing. I think shame has been shame. Like there's a purpose, like there's a reason we shame each other. People are using it in these really horrible ways to shame someone who, like, you don't look like me, or you don't have the amount of money I have, or you're the wrong, whatever birth thing you want. Like, oh, you're from a different place than me, or you don't look like whatever. But I think we should actually use shame to be like shame on the people who are putting themselves first. And
like maybe like shame on the people in power, maybe. But like I think also
ordinary people who can control that. I mean, the people in power make their money by selling people goods. If you are not making ethical choices in what you buy, and this is all of us, right? Then you are supporting. Like my family, we support Jeff Bezos. Like we pay him money to send.
You have to at this point.
Amazon, you have to, right?
But you actually don't. Like there are actually so like if you make a conscious decision that you can wait 4 days for your thing, or you're going to look up someone locally and you're going to accept that you can't have exactly the thing that you want. You have to settle for something a little bit different, or just not have it in order to not give this company your money. It's possible to do that. And if everyone did that, then the local community could be like, oh yeah, actually I can make you that soap. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you have to opt out of the system in order to create a new system, because otherwise, you know, Bezos is richer and the rich, like, and the communities continue to fall. It's just like the Walmart phenomenon in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I find one solution can be taxes, the way they are taxed, and distributing the wealth into universal basic income. And I find that once universal basic income, if that is implemented properly for the middle class and children and everything on that level, then it can be done very well. And then also more, like I was gonna talk earlier about the African system, more of an, like how it used to be in Africa. It was more of a learning system. Like it was more, it's almost like it was more like if you, like, so if you're an artist, you are paired up with the artist. And if you are a sports person, you're paired up with a sports person, and the sports person teaches you from young how
like
to
a mentor.
Yeah, like a mentor system. And it was just like, so you learned how to become a master of your craft through a hierarchy of that level. But yeah, I think that our education system needs to readopt that kind of a system, so that people kind of like, they are grown into becoming their best self, and they already have money, so they can use that money to start something and redistribute the wealth. And if they're making more than a certain X amount of money, then at that point, maybe they pay the taxes back, right? Yeah. And it's just like the wealth redistributing itself, and everybody starts, instead of starting at broke, you start at like with the wealth at least, right? And other ways, like for people who have drug addictions and things like that, like, so one thing that they can't do is pay rent, for example. So in that point, the government steps in and pays the landlord directly, right? Like, and it maintains that person.
So you're talking about a socialistic system.
Yeah,
something like they have in Sweden.
Yeah. Like also Switzerland, right? Like Switzerland has like an amazing government of people vote into the projects that need to be done, right? And that way everybody has their say. So, and because there's like 10 people governing, and all these 10 people have equal say. So I don't think it's 10, but like there's a group of people governing, and they all have equal say. So when people are voting, it's like, it's a system where people are discussing. Like, there should never be a president, just a president. There should be a group of people who are the president of the United States. That should never.
Well, there isn't just the president. There's the Congress and the Senate. He can't just do whatever he wants, or else he would, because he'd like to be the dictator. But they do have separation of powers. But if you're gonna
too big a job, I mean, look at how the people in that job age, like immediately, like it literally that age.
Look at Obama.
Yeah, that was
how he aged. Yeah, in that job.
Pretty hot. So I mean, he did pretty well for it.
Yeah, but have you seen him 8 years ago? Yeah. 8 years ago, and now?
Yes. Yeah.
But whatever he tried to implement, they blocked it in the Senate and the Congress. It depends which party. So that's why they said the election is coming up. Go to the polls. It is a democracy, and you have to go and vote in the government you want. So we'll see what happens.
They have two parties, and they have a limitation. Like
two parties,
yeah, because they've got a two-party system, and because they've got the fixed terms, you would think that the fixed terms would be like super helpful in making sure that they weren't. I mean, it's good because like no matter what, Trump couldn't rule forever kind of thing. But I feel like because our guys stay in quite often for a lot longer, they tend to be more moderate, because you need a plan that you can keep implementing in 12 years.
Yeah.
Like you can plan for something and say, listen, this is all part of our long-term plan. We are going to make this rally or whatever. Yeah. Whereas they just like, and then because there's only two parties, it feels like you can't suck up to the NDP to get something done. Like so you can like there's this other party that's not in itself powerful, but it seems to like sometimes they're like, hey, we want to keep socialized medicine.
Well, so we have a minority now, so we have a coalition. We have a coalition government now. So, the liberals have to sort of give way to the NDP to get some more of the socialized agendas passed. But if you have a government, they're the majority, they do whatever they want.
This is very
Canada.
true.
It's a different system. It's a different government.
Yeah, it is. But it doesn't always feel like a bit of a dictatorship whenever there's a majority government?
It is.
And I feel like they always have. Like they don't, because they've got different systems, but they often have a majority government. So
then it is like a dictatorship.
They wouldn't be better off if they just like were like, all right, we're gonna invent the blah party and just kind of like
coalition government is much better.
Yeah.
Especially with the two-party system in the States, like what's happened is that like they just take polar opposite sides that like don't even always make sense. Like if you're a Republican, you just don't believe in climate change. And like this isn't something that should be a political issue. Like it shouldn't, like you shouldn't have to have your political views relate to your point of view on climate change.
You know what?
Like,
It's a religion. In the States, it's a religion. They don't even want a Democrat to marry a Republican. That's how strongly they feel about it. It's their religion.
Yeah, have they ever had, I mean, I know that the wife of the president obviously has to, they've never had anyone where the person in power is like, oh, my spouse disagrees with you. So we have our debates. Like,
No, they don't discuss it.
No. Well.
Okay, let's get
into it.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Now that we solved world problems.